Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. I'm Elisabetta, a watercolor artist with a passion for art supplies. Today I'm talking about Rembrandt. I realized that Rembrandt offers a set of granulating colors both in pans and tubes, and I was tempted to buy it, but then I realized that Rembrandt is a brand that I love so much that I already have many Rembrandt tubes, because when it is on sale I always make sure to buy some tubes, and in these last years I have collected quite a few. So I thought that I could put together the same colors that are in this granulating set and swatch them for you. This is not a set of super granulating colors, but it's a set of naturally granulating colors, which I find very interesting because they're colors that have always been there. It's not this new thing of super granulating colors, and every one of you can have these colors at home and use them, exploiting their naturally granulating properties. You know that the granulation happens when some paints have this nature that the paint pulled together in small groups, and this is called flocculation, like granules in the paint. They're not smooth, and something that can be very interesting for special effects. I like granulation very much. Some people don't like it, so it's very much up to you. So I think that we can start swatching these granulating colors and see if they are really granulating. We can start from Dusk Yellows. Rembrandt has a mini collection of dusk colors. What are these dusk colors? Are colors that are mixed with Mars Black, PBk11. And these three colors that you also can find some of them or different ones in Van Gogh, which is always from Royal Talens, are the only three that are multi-pigment in this collection of granulating colors, because it's the PBk11, the Mars Black, that gives the granulation. It's a granulating black that I like very much and I like to use. Of course, when you mix black with yellow, it gives a muted green. It's a green that I like to make sometimes because it's a very natural, organic green. And this is called Dusk Yellow. It's not a yellow, but it's PBk11 Mars Black plus P128, which is Diazo Yellow, that it is a transparent yellow. It's an alternative to Aureolin, which is fugitive, and it's very transparent yellow, perfect to be mixed with Mars Black. Of course, we have to wait until it dries to see if the granulation occurs or not. Then we have a color that is very common in everyone's palette, and it is Rosiana. Rosiana is made with PY43, which is the natural yellow iron oxide. The same pigment used in the yellow ochre, but in Rosiana usually it's transparent. Here we are. I like to use Rosiana instead of yellow ochres most of the time, especially in sky, because it's transparent, whereas yellow ochre is opaque. I also use very much yellow ochre. Don't take me wrong, but sometimes I just prefer to use Rosiana. So I have both in my studio palette and I like them both. But Rosiana is a color that I really like very, very much. It's a perfect alternative if opacity in yellow ochre puts you off. Then we have one more of these dusk colors, and this is Tusk Pink. It's black and quinacridone magenta, PR122. I bet you're curious to see what it gives. It's very dark in mustard, of course, because there is black, but now we start seeing the pink coming through, and let me add more water, because you know that granulation needs water to be exploited to the full, so that particles can pull together. I'm adding water in random manner. Then a color that I adore, and is Cobalt Violet. And Cobalt Violet is a very, very low staining color, very delicate, very light, but beautiful in sky, really beautiful. It has a very nice natural flocculation. Look at this. You see how delicate and transparent it is? Won't get very dark, of course. It's a wonderful color. I can assure you that in sky this is wonderful for clouds. Then Ultramarine Violet, PV15. And this is also another violet that I like very much. Lot of paint. And has a very lovely granulation usually. This version by Rembrandt is really nice. I like Rembrandt because the quality price ratio is perfect for me. It's not something that you pay through the nose. It's often on sale and the quality is outstanding. They're very serious. It's a Dutch brand, you know that. I say that every time. My son lives in the Netherlands, so I have a soft spot for everything which is Dutch. And this is the Ultramarine Violet, which is a very delicate violet. It's not as dark as Dioxazine Violet, but Dioxazine Violet PV23 has a very huge, large drying shift, whereas Ultramarine Violet doesn't have such a large drying shift, so it's easier to use because of this correspondence between wet and dry color. And the last color in this row is PB29 French Ultramarine. French Ultramarine, you know that French Ultramarine is slightly warmer and definitely more granulating than classic Ultramarine. And if you mix this with, I don't know, alizarin crimson, you should get lovely granulating purples. You mix it with yellow, you get lovely granulating greens. It's the perfect mixing colors, I think. French Ultramarine, because of this natural granulation. I'm trying to add water to favor the flocculation. So it's not a blue that I like very much on its own. I don't use it, but I use it a lot in mixes. Now we take another cobalt color, PB35 Cerulean. This is a color that sometimes, like most cobalts, I find that most cobalts have binder issues. Cobalt Violet always binder issues. But I don't really care. They're so beautiful, cobalt colors. Let's see this PB35. It's a beautiful color for sky, of course. I like all cobalt should granulate in a lovely manner. So cool granulation. It adds so much to a painting, especially for backgrounds or landscapes. I love it in backgrounds, for instance. Okay, I will add some more water here and there. I had the cerulean on my fingers in any case. Viridian, sometimes you see viridian on the tube, but actually it's phthalo green, and this is the true viridian, which is a much more delicate color, not so tinting as PG7. And this is also nice in mixes. Of course, it's not a natural, very natural looking green, so you can mute it down with, for instance, with sunburned sienna, some red, some yellow ochre, some Rosiana, and you get much more organic greens. But it's a great mixing green because also you can get lovely darks if you mix it with alizarin crimson. This is viridian. This is a lovely viridian, very lovely. Then one of my favorite colors, which is one more cobalt colors. There are a lot of cobalt colors, of course, because cobalt, with the exception of Cobalt Yellow, PY40, which is Aureline, they're all very granulating. And this is Cobalt Turquoise Green, PG26, Cobalt Green, a Cobalt Green pigment. Such a summery color for tropical sea, for instance. This is definitely not a teal, but a green, but in the same spectrum, same family. Turquoise, the color that I adore. It's not very easy to use, but in the summer, if you paint seascapes, marinas, it's lovely. And this is Cobalt Turquoise Green, PG26. Okay, now Green Earth. This is a color that I like to keep in my studio palette because it can be very nice for far away, for instance, meadows, because it's so delicate, so blurred, naturally blurred, granulating. This is the genuine PG23 Green Earth or Terre Verte, but many brands don't offer this pigment. They offer combinations, multi-pigment. I like this PG23 so much, and it's so delicate and fascinating, I find. I think that in the past it was used in portraits to mute down pink to get a flesh tone, natural flesh tone. Then we have the last of the dusk colors, which is dusk green. This is one of the colors that I had to buy that I didn't have, so I haven't tried it. It's the first time I swatch it, so I don't know what to expect. Most of these colors I had, but I had to buy Viridian, Cobalt Turquoise Green, Dusk Green, and Greenish Amber. Those I didn't have in my collection. And this is PG7 phthalo green, so a strong cold green, and our usual Mars Black PBk11 that adds granulation, because PG7 is not a granulating color, but if you mix it with PBk11 you should see granulation. I have a video about PBk11 and its mixing properties. I'll put the link in the description box. And it's a beautiful, beautiful green. Can't wait to see it dry. And then last, still a new color for me, PBr8, which is manganese brown. You see, I had to put a note here because it's the first time that I come across this pigment, which is manganese brown, as I said. Small binder issues, but I think that in the summer you get more separation, binder separation. This is very rare pigment. I have never come across. I think it's used in manganese brown by some brands, but I don't have any. It's the first time I swatch it. Yeah, it looks a bit like a raw amber or Van Dyke brown. Very organic. Very organic brown, colder brown. Nice for trunks and woods. Winter landscapes. Beautiful. It has this winter look, wintry look. Okay, we let this dry now. What do you think? Maybe we can dare a small sketch. So I will make a sketch that is a bit different from what I usually do, and I will paint a galaxy, a skyscape. Let's see. Now, I think that a galaxy is perfect for my advanced swatching, which is doing a very simple and quick sketch that adds value to the swatches because it simulates the real behavior of this paint on paper when you paint. So I'm not trying to show off my capabilities or to give a tutorial. It's not like this. It's just to have an idea of the real behavior on paper of this paint. Now it's almost dry. This side is perfectly dry and you see the lovely granulation. This paper, which is a cotton rag from India, handmade, really favors the granulation very, very much, but you can try on different surfaces as well. Of course, now we need to wait until it dries, but we can go back to our swatches that in the meantime have had the time to dry. Okay, now my colors are dry and we can draw our final conclusions. All these colors have granulation. In some cases, those are more subtle. In other cases, they're more evident, but they're all granulatings. And if you mix them, as we have done in the Galaxy, this will emphasize even more the granulation. We have the 3 dusk colors that are amazing once dry. Here we had a green when it was wet, but now that it's dry, it separates, and you can really see the black and the yellow separating, which is a very lovely effect. Same with the Dusk Pink and the Dusk Green as well. I really love these two. The Dusk Pink is wonderful. The Rosiana, it's not so granulating, I think. We should try mixing it with other colors to see if it granulates, but it's less granulating of all of them. Cobalt Violet has a very subtle granulation, as you see, but it's there. You see the pigments pooling in the holes of the papers. Same with Ultramarine Violet, a very, very delicate granulation, which is so natural, so organic, absolutely amazing. French Ultramarine, in Mastone, of course, you don't see it much, but here in light washes where there is more water, you see a lot of granulation. Look at this, it's wonderful. The Cerulean Blue has a delicate granulation. Remember that we are in a natural spectrum of colors. These are not the hyper granulating colors like the ones from Schminke that have some additives that favor granulation so much. These colors are naturally granulating, so the granulation cannot be so evident as in super granulating colors, but it's there and is absolutely organic and beautiful. Viridian, here also the granulation is very delicate. There is some granulation, but very delicate. In Cobalt Turquoise, I don't see it much here. Maybe I should have added more water. I don't see that much granulation here, to be honest. But Green Earth has a lovely, delicate, very subtle granulation. Look at this, adorable. And the Greenish Amber, same. The Greenish Amber is beautiful once dry. Look at this cold brown. It's really wonderful. It's so organic with all the pigments pooling around, especially Mastone in this case. I really like this color. I want to add it to my studio palette. It's more beautiful than I have Van Dyke in this moment, but I like this one much better. It could replace a raw amber, for instance. This beautiful soft granulation can be even more pleasant, I think, than super granulation that is slightly difficult to use. This can be integrated in your sketches without overpowering the painting with the strong granulation, but just adding a granulating touch that is very delicate and can be very pleasant to the eye. Let's now see the Galaxy, hoping that it's dry. Okay, the Galaxy I think is dry now. I will add some white pen. So you see that the granulating properties of these naturally granulating colors are really emphasized when you mix them together, because that's where really colors separate and run at different speed and can pull together in groups. And the pigments do what they have to do, which is the beauty of watercolor. As you see, I have also poured the day after these colors in a tin box in half pans, so that this set is ready when I want to use it. I think I'm going to use this a lot, because I have noticed that if I leave my tubes in a drawer, I never use them. So I prefer to pour them in a pan. So here they are, and I want to have a look once again at my paint, the dried paint the day after, because I don't know, maybe it's just an impression, but I have the feeling that the flocculation is even stronger the day after. Rosiana, I clearly see it. Even in cobalt turquoise green, there is some slight flocculation. Of course, it is not the strong flocculation of super granulating colors. It's more gentle, but it's there. So let's draw our final conclusion about this Rembrandt granulating colors set. I do like this set very much because it's different from the usually granulating set. These are colors that you can really integrate every day in your paintings. The problem, I think, with the hypergranulating sets, which I really adore, is that I like them so much that I don't use them so often. Whereas these colors, with their subtle organic granulation, can be on your desk and be there to add granulation to your sky, to your shadows, to your landscapes in a very, very, very traditional and natural manner. So I really like this collection, and these colors are colors that I would really buy on their own, each of them. Especially I have discovered this green chamber that I didn't know, which is absolutely beautiful, and these green earths. Look at the beautiful granulation of these green earths. So if you have a curiosity about granulation, but you're not into strong granulation, I think that this set can be a very nice introduction to the world of granulation. And I like the fact that all of these colors, with the exception of these three dusk colors, have always been there in your set. You just didn't know that they could be grouped together. And this magenta, yellow, the azo yellow, and phthalo green mixed with the mouse black are a combination that I like very much. The Rembrandt brand is not a fancy brand. They don't have these fancy sets. They're very traditional, very serious, very down-to-earth brand. And I think that this fits very well their personality. So I don't know if you knew this set. I don't know if you own this set. I don't know what you think of Rembrandt colors, but I have a soft spot for them because they are just serious, honest, down-to-earth, straightforward. I really like this fact. They're not so much into marketing, but they are great colors. And these naturally granulating colors are the right thing to have if you're not crazy about the super granulating colors. It was nice to swatch them with you, and I'm waiting for your comment. And thanks a lot for having spent this time with me, and I'll see you next time in my channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed so far. Ciao ciao from Elisabetta. Ciao.